So good evening. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Welcome to John Paul Music UK, and this is live looping Q&A with JP. So let's just get into this right now. Hi. Good evening. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, then please remember to subscribe. And if you are, obviously give the thumbs up as well. What you can also do is you can support me by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/John Paul Music UK. Good evening. How are we? How's the week been? For the UK, we're back in lockdown, and that's a bit odd. It's a bit weird. So we're basically going to start doing things like this, where we are live streaming now and just going to do a couple of Q&As. Now, this is all about live looping. So if you've got questions about live looping, how to live loop, what you can use, this is what I'm here for. So the t-shirt, I'll move the mic out of the way, says, how do you loop? And that's the first question. How do you loop? Are you looking at getting into looping, or have you thought about looping at all? So give a thumbs up if you're thinking about looping, or if you have been looping as well. Let me know in the comment section below. Now, the reason I've got this angle as opposed to this one is because you can see here we've got a couple of loop pedals on the table. So we've got the Boss RC30, the brand new Boss RC500. We've got the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic, which is got a loop pedal built into it, and then right down here is the Headrush Looper board. So if you've got questions about these, please let me know, and obviously let me know what you're using if you're using hardware. However, if you're using something like an iPhone, or if you're using an iPad, or if you're using an Android device, let me know what you're using as well. So let's have a quick look. Adrian, good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. Looping changes my life, he says. That's dramatic, but also fantastic. Let me know why looping changes your life. Are we doing this live? Are we recording it? What are we doing? So I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, and the other thing as well is, before we get going, this live stream is sponsored, and it's sponsored by DistroKid.com. DistroKid is the one place where you can actually put all your music on for one price per year, which starts at $19.99, which is phenomenal if you think about how many albums you could put out in a year. Now, we're all in lockdown. A lot of people are in lockdown. So let me know if you are thinking about distributing stuff. Maybe you've created a loop and you want to bring it out there, then DistroKid's your answer. We've partnered up with them, and we've got a special link that's at the bottom of the screen, which is distrokid.com/VIP/John Paul Music UK. And if you go onto there, then you'll get basically a little bit of discount, which is 7% off your first annual membership. Now, I've actually got the highest tier, and I've gone for the label version. The reason for that is because I do a couple of different things. So I produce stuff for myself, which under the name John Paul. I produce stuff for a 2-track band which is called Tokyo Wasteland, which is myself and Greg. So have a look at Tokyo Wasteland if you want to. Selfless plug. And then also I'm looking at doing a couple of extra things as well. So there's an old outfit I did, which is Black Bag Project, and so there's a couple of different things. That's why I've gone for the label tier. But if you just yourself, then you just need the one tier. That's $19.99, and we can give you 7% off by clicking that link. Now, what we're going to do is let's go back over to the main page, and as I said, if you want to, then of course please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then also if you want to give it a thumbs up, because it really helps. It sends it out to more people, so then they can come in and watch it and chat as well. Also, what you'll notice as well is this chat. Now, this chat is actually what's called a multi-chat. So you'll see the little icon there. So Adrian is talking on YouTube, but also Francis, good evening, hi, how you doing? Is talking on Facebook, and we're live on both Facebook, YouTube, and also Periscope as well, so you guys can talk to each other, having a chat between social medias and social distances, social medias. That's the way I'm looking at it. So let's have a look. Adrian, I use Ableton Live or Quantaloop or a hardware pedal, depending on the day, and just to be able to scale up or down for live gig or live streaming. So this is the thing about live looping. The thing is, it depends on what you're doing. Now, I started live looping with just a pedal, a hardware pedal, which was the Akai Headrush E2, which is a one-phrase looper with no undo, and then I've gone up from there. So depending on what you're doing, loads of people dive into things like Ableton. Ableton's probably the best PC Mac looper. I think really it's the most versatile one. Let's have a quick look. So yeah, so it depends on what you're doing. Now, since then, I moved over to Loopy HD. So if you go onto YouTube and just search Loopy HD, you'll find me because I did tutorials about it, and I've used it for quite a while. And then I used Quantaloop, and there's loads of other apps out there. L7 Looper as well. That's really good. On the iPhone, I've even done a gig just on the iPhone with a microphone plugged in through an audio interface, and that's it. And I did it all a cappella. And it was great fun because I'm not lugging a load of gear around, so for one, but it was just really easy to do. Francis, hi, John Paul. My OBS has started lagging since I tried to upload an image. I have since then trashed the image, but OBS is lagging and freezing. It's never done this before. Any advice, please? Certainly. What I know it sounds rubbish, but go into the settings of OBS, and then what you can do is you can have a look at your bit rate. So this is just something additional to looping, and I'm going to talk about this now, but you can have a look at the bit rate. Now, most people go, oh, put the highest up. What you're telling OBS, if you put the highest up, it thinks, I can handle that amount of high when actually your broadband's here, and that's why it might lag or freeze. This is actually outputted at 720p. It's not actually 1080 at all because my broadband can't handle 1080 because of where I live. So use the live stream to suit your broadband. Don't do it to the highest quality. Forget 4K. It's not going to happen unless you're paying for like a ISPN, DSPN like link or line, your dedicated line at like £100-200 a month. So 720p is the way forward, definitely for that. And then also have a look at your bit rate and see if you can have a play with it there. Right, that's the OBS question out the way. Cheryl, hi, Canada. Hello, how you doing? Hope you're okay. Welcome to the UK, where we're in national lockdown. This is some people call it lockdown number 2, some people call it lockdown number 3. Depends how you see it. But either way, this is a vehicle. This live stream is a vehicle basically for people to chat about live looping, but also give the courage to get out there and do a little bit more live looping as well. So there's some great people, some great friends who I have who do live looping all the time, locally and also across the world. And they use lots of different things depending on whether you're using a hardware looper or a software looper or a app, which is technically a software looper. So something like this. This is the RC30. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go over to the second screen there. So this is the RC30. It is a 2-track looper, and it has on board, I'll tell you what, we'll go back to this one because that's a little bit easier. We have a XLR input. Let me just do that. There you go. Can you see that? There we go, that's better. So it has an XLR input, which we can plug a mic into. And then also it's got 2 jacks in, so you can plug in a keyboard, like a stereo keyboard, or you can plug in 2 guitars. So it's just called instrument in, left and right. Now, the RC30 has got 99 memories, and you can record, I think it's 3 hours, and it's ridiculous. You can record for such a long time. It's got some loop effects. I've never used them really. I had to play with them when I first got this and then left it because they're not really the loop effects that I want to use. But it's a great little looper. 2 pedals, so you've got your pedal there for record, dub, play, undo, redo, and then your track select basically this is your stop or your tap tempo, and you hold this down and this goes over from track 1 to track 2. This is also the problem with this looper, is that basically to go from 1 to 2 live, you have to do a bit of a pedal dance, and people start to find a limitation of this. Not that it's bad, it's good, and if you think about where we start from, over just over 10 years ago, and the RC20 came out, and then the 20XL, and then the 30. I had to think then. And it's battery powered as well, so you can plug it into mains, but also battery. So I've gone busking with this. It's really useful for things like that. And it's one of those things where, Francis, you're more than welcome. No problem at all. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. I know you have already, but I have to say it. And then if you want to support me a little bit further, where is it? I have to get my hands right on this. There. No, there. I'll just put it on the table. There. That. Support me. So this is Buy Me a Coffee. And if you buy me a coffee live while we're done live, you get a nice little icon coming up on the screen. A little bit like a super chat. So if you want to use super chat, you can do as well. So the RC30 is a fantastic little looper. And it's a powerhouse. The other thing that's really, really good on it, it's built like a tank. It's taken so many knocks, this. It's just throw it in the gig bag and put some batteries in 6AA's and away you go. Really, really useful. Now, you have an output level and an input level for the mic, but then the input level for your instruments you've got to do at your instrument end. One complaint about this is that when you plug the microphone in, the output of the microphone comes out of both channels. You can't do anything about that. So I have a video on YouTube which is dual mono looping, where actually I don't use this, and I plug in my microphone and my microphone and my guitar into these two separately, and the reason for that is so I can output them separately to different things. So I've got a speaker which has got multiple ins, and then I put the left as, say, my vocal, and then the right as my guitar, and then that way I could actually put two different ones in depending what you're doing. So that's very, very useful in that sense, but you can't use the XLR if you want to route stuff. Bring in this bad boy. Hope you can hear me all, by the way. Bring in this bad boy. This is the Boss RC500. Now, this has only just been released a couple of months ago, and ignore the name. People go, oh, it's 30, it should be 50, and there was an RC50, and that was a 3-track looper. So the RC500 is a 500 series, and everything about this is in here plus more, and they listen to what people wanted out of it. And you can route anything now. You can route stuff. There's multiple tracks. This has got a third button, which is track select, so instantly go from one track to another. Really, really useful. So much so that there's actually so much this can do that it's now foxed a lot of people because it's set up by default in a certain way. And you go, well, I don't loop that way. I loop by pressing something for the tap tempo, which the tap tempo is on this button here. So it's like, well, how do I tap the tempo with a foot switch? But you can reassign any of these to do anything you want, which is really, really cool. I've got a video about that, about reassigning these buttons. So again, on the YouTube channel, go and have a look at that. But I'm going to be bringing some more videos out. I have promised to bring some more videos out about this, and we're going to be doing some playing with it as well. So it's really, really good. Now, the downside of this one that I can see at the moment is we've lost the OGS in. This has also got a OGS in, the RC30. This hasn't, so you've kind of lost the OGS in. So if you wanted to plug in a keyboard, you could do that by mini jack, which is quite useful. This doesn't have that. However, they've not called it left and right. They've called it A and a B because you can route things to anywhere. Now, for me, I just plug in a keyboard. A bit louder volume on your side would be helpful. Suggest you hear times 4. I suggest to hear you many times before. Cheers. Okay, cool. Hang on a sec. How's that? I got told that I was kicking the plosives last time, so I'm kind of backing off a little bit now, so maybe I should be talking like this. But yeah, so what was I saying? Yes, routing. So you can actually route things from one to the other, which is really cool. Now, the other thing as well is, again, this has 99 memories, has a nice little LCD display, but what you can do is you can save all your settings per memory. So say like on memory 7, you could actually have this button as track 1, this button as track 2, and this button as rhythm start stop. And then track 3, you could actually have like something completely different. You can have it as it's laid out. So there's so many different things this can do. It is an absolute powerhouse. Again, battery powered, 4 AA's, not 6. So you're saving yourself 2 AA's there. And you've also got MIDI. So this is a massive, massive one as well. This has got so many different improvements compared to that one. I think it's unfair a little bit to compare it to the RC30, but it's the only other 2-track looper that was its predecessor. So that's why a lot of people do compare it, but it's so good. It really is so good. The multicolored LCD display, the 99 loops is always there, but it's now is it 13 hours you can do, and it's 32-bit as well. So the quality of the audio is fantastic. I'm just gonna have a little sip. I got told last time, stop talking too quickly and breathe. It's because I'm just chatting away. Yeah, basically the loopers, the RC30 and the 20 and the 20 XL, I think at some point every busker or gigging musician has picked one up to have a go. I love it. I do a lot of harmony work as opposed to guitar work on there, which is really, really good, and I quite like that. Oops, sorry about that. I quite like that, which is good because you can do lots of different harmonies, layer them on top, and create something different, and people seem to like that. Now, let me just move this pedal out of the way. This is the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic, and this powerhouse has changed the way I actually perform. This thing is absolutely fantastic when it comes to vocals. If you're not familiar with TC Helicon, they're an arm of TC Electronics, and they are dedicated to vocals. And what they do is, this is pretty much one of the first ones to nail it, where you plug in a microphone and then you plug in a guitar, and then you have an instant guitar dry and voice out on XLR, and then you plug it in, it goes through it, and then it processes your vocals, and then you can add on harmonies. They have a range of these, starting from the Voice Live Harmony G, which is just a harmony pedal, right through to something like this, which is technically a multi-effects processor, right up to the Voice Live 3 Extreme and the Voice Live Touch 2, and I've had all of them. I've had all of them, and they are amazing. The reason I keep this one is mainly because what I do is I had at one point the RC300 and the Voice Live 3, and I needed like 6 arms to lift it because it was so heavy on a pedal board. Also, you couldn't find a pedal board that was that long, and one of my friends here locally, who has a YouTube channel by the name of John Wynn, go and check him out. He's a loop artist. His pedal board is an old rifle case, and that's the only one he could find that was like long enough to do this. So I found that quite funny. It's quite cool. And yeah, so I started like reducing the footprint on the floor, and that was another thing as well, which is pedal dancing. Pedal dancing is one of these big things where you end up sort of with like Darth Vader's panel on your floor, and you're like, wow, what do I do with all this? And there's a lot to learn, a lot to take in. So yeah, I would gig with the RC30 and the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic, and those two plugged in together work really well. Nice little foot pedal. You've got 2-track looper there. You've got harmonies. There is a looper, like a 1-track looper on the TC Helicon, but it's okay. It's just a 1-track looper. It's just a basic looper to get you going. If you want to take it up a notch, you can do. Now this is something that I would highly recommend if you've got one of these. If you've got a Voice Live Play Acoustic, in fact any of the Voice Lives, where are we, wherever they're, if you've got any of the Voice Lives, whether it's this or the Voice Live 3 or even the Touch 2, invest in one of these. This is called the Switch 3. There's also a Switch 6, which I've actually got over there, and this basically adds on 3 additional pedals. So what I did was, and what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to change the screen. So I have this like that, and then the jack for this is jack out, and it's TRS, which means it's got 3 pedals. And I literally would either have it like that, or I would have it side by side like that. So then you've got 6 pedals. So this is memory up, memory down, and hit, and then I use that for the looper. It was really, really useful. So I could do that, but then reaching over to that, you'd have to raise it and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, there's loads you can do with it, which is really useful. So that is the Voice Live Play Acoustic. Now, when you marry that, certainly if you're using things for vocals, it's got some guitar effects in as well. But if you're marrying that when it comes to acoustics, like guitar acoustics, and you're doing harmonies and stuff like that, those two are together basically a powerhouse. So if you do, I know someone who does like wedding venues like that, really, really good. And of course, you're plugging your microphone into this, and then the output of that goes into this. Now, this is XLR out. And if you plug the XLR into this one, you wouldn't be able to split the loop. This is where the dual mono looping comes in, because I have a special cable which basically is an XLR to jack, and I've got 2 of them. So XLR to jack into this, XLR to jack into that one. Sorry, I'm pointing at the RC30, by the way. Sorry, I didn't realize that you couldn't see it. So let me put it there. There you go. So XLR for the vocal and then XLR for the guitar, both from there to there, and then you can split it out, which is great because then on my PA, which happens to be buried under here at the moment because I got a gig in the UK, my PA's got a 4-in, so I'd plug track 1 in as vocal and track 2 in as the guitar, and then that way I can mix it. So I can mix it in a room, so if the vocals are a bit loud, I can bring it down a little bit, as opposed to using the XLR mic input on there, but then I can't monitor it. It's just a lot easier. It's just a lot easier to do it that way, because then you've got a lot more control, and you can even control the loops if you've got like a 4-in. So for example, and this is so heavy, it really is, but if you've got something like this is the Headrush Looper board. I tell you what, let's do that. There we go. So if you've got something like this is the Headrush Looper board. Now this has 4-ins. So what you can do is it's 4-ins and 4 outs. So you've got 4-ins which are both jack and XLR, and you've got 4 outs. The first 2 outs are jack, and the second 2 outs are XLR, and you've got a phono as well. So the way I run this, I still use the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic. So I plug my microphone into that, my guitar into that, and I use the dual mono out, so the DI basically out into track 1, and then track 2 for the vocals. Now, this is where it gets clever. This does all the looping. So then what I do is let me go think about this now. On number 1, we've got, say, the vocals, for example. Let's say we've got 1 in on vocals, 2 on guitar. I think I said the other way around before, sorry. So 1 in on vocals, 2 on guitar. So then output 1 is just the vocal. That's it. The vocal, no loops, just the vocal. Guitar is on 2. 3 is all the vocal loops, and 4 is all the guitar loops. This way, what you can do is you then have voice and guitar, and you can mix them, and you could put like a bit of reverb on that. And then when you hit for looping, then the vocal loops there, the vocal loops there basically come out separately. So you can then mix that, so it's a lot easier. And then the guitar loops are separate as well. So I use a lot of like hits and rhythms for guitar looping. So if I've suddenly thudded something, I can pull that down a little bit. So it's lower than the voice. Oh, goodness me, that is heavy. But yeah, so there's loads of different things you can do. Now, so far, all I've been talking about is hardware loopers, and they are great to just pick up and run and gun with, because you can just pick it up. They're built like tanks, and you can just go for it. Excuse me. The other thing you can do as well, certainly with the Voice Live, sorry, apologies. The other thing you can do as well, certainly with the Boss pedals, is you can add on things like these. Now, this is just a momentary foot switch. This is a AB200 by Behringer, and you can also get their official ones by Boss, the FS5, the FS6, and even the FS7, which looks like that, but it's 2 pedals. And it gives you 2 extra pedals, basically. It's like the Switch 3 for the TC Helicon. It gives you more functionality. So you've got things like tempo you can have on there, or you could say mic mute on the RC500. You could actually get the RC500 to do anything, which is really clever. So things like that really expand. So if you're thinking of a new looper, what I would suggest is if you've got something like the RC30 and you're thinking about the RC500, but you don't have the money for it yet, then have a look at getting something like an FS6 or an AB200 or just an extra foot pedal. Like an extra foot pedal you can get like for 29 quid. And then that would give you a lot more functionality, and just see if you've hit the ceiling of what that does already. So it's one of these things where those really give you more functionality, and I think it just adds a little bit more to the investment you've already got. So there we go. Richie Phillips, good evening. How are you? Hope you're well. Hi John, I've just upgraded to the Headrush Looper board. Way. And love it, but one thing I used to do on the RC300 is assign the expression pedal to turn off the mic. Can you do this on a new pedal? Yes is the answer. Not only can you do that, what I do is I have an expression pedal as well in my pedal board, so that actually goes into a pedal board. Also, I'm not a Velcro person. I don't use Velcro at all. I use tie wraps, so I use reusable tie wraps to tie wrap my stuff, basically, and that way I can take it off the pedal board without a load of horrible and hook and whatever it's called. Velcro. I can't stand it. I used to Velcro that, and I used to rip the bottom of them off all the time. And then when I think I sold a Voice Live 2, and the bottom of it was just horrible. I was shown a really cool pedal board, but love the channel, by the way. Keep it up. Thank you very much. If you want to support me a little bit more, have a look at that. Support me. buymeacoffee.com/John Paul Music UK. I was shown a pedal which is called, a pedal board called the Holy Board, which is HOLEY, Holy Board. And I've been talking to them just late last year. I'm going to talk to them this year as well. And it's based, the idea is that you don't use Velcro at all. You have a load of holes, and you just put tie wraps through, and then you tie wrap it, and the thing is solid. So if you're worried about it moving, I've had a Headrush Looper board tie wrapped into my pedal board, and it does not move. Period. Doesn't move. So much so that I've actually tie wrapped the cabling. So then when I need to take it out, I can just undo the tie wrap, because it's a reusable tie wrap as opposed to these ones where you've got to snap, cut them in half to get them out. Really, really useful. Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. Richie, yes. What you can do is you can do that, no problem at all. You need to go into the effects section, and then there's an expression pedal option. And when you go into there, I had to think about it then. I had to look at it. So go into effects, go into the expression pedal option, and then you assign the expression pedal, and then it asks, well, what do you want to do? And there's loads of different options. So the other option is basically input 1. On off, so you can do that. What I do is I actually use mine for the loops, so I actually do the volume of all the loops. The reason for that is because instead of bending down and going, oh, the loops are a bit loud, what I can do is I can just pull it back. Also, my loops tend to get louder when the night goes on, if you see what I mean, like it get a bit disco-y, or if you get a bit like, a bit more poppy and stuff like that if you're playing covers. What I do is I use that just to either push it up a little bit or pull it back a little bit. So certainly if I've done a gig, like say now, Saturday night, it's pumping, it's great. And then let's say I'm doing another gig on Sunday afternoon, and it's chilled out, and I go woof, and it's really loud. I can just go right, pull it back down. So that's just for the volume of the loops. But yes, you can adjust it. So basically, you can say mic on, mic off, or basically it's volume, it's input volume number 1. Let's just say input volume 100% or 0. So yeah, you can do that. Guys, if you do have any questions regarding any of this tech, let me know. We're going to go into software loopers in a minute. But basically, let me know if you've got any questions. We are now, 27 minutes in? So I'm going to be here until 9:30, just thereabouts. So we've only got about another half hour left. So let me know if you've got any burning questions, and we can talk about it. I can answer them. Now, if you're watching this on a replay, then please put the questions in the comment section below, and then I will go into it and ask. I'll go into it and answer your questions. Now, this live stream has actually been sponsored, and it's sponsored by DistroKid. Now, DistroKid is the one place you can actually go and get all your music out there in the world to things like Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all the different ones, Amazon Music, there's loads, there's so many now, Deezer, and basically you can do one price per year, which is $19.99. There's loads of different tiers. I'm on the label tier, and we can give you, with this link here, we can give you 7% off your first annual membership. Now, it's going to be in the description box below after the live stream, but have a look at that, take a click of it if you want a snapshot. There you go. And then it's distrokid.com/VIP/John Paul Music UK. And then that way you can get 7% off your first annual membership. So let's have a look. Hannah Shipman, how you doing? I just bought the RC500. Way! Congratulations. But I'm new to all this. So far I've been littering around and seeing what happens. Maybe you have some tips for a newbie. Should I be more systematic in my approach? Wow, systematic. So hi, glad you're new to looping, because you're about to find out how addictive it is. So much so that I've made my own t-shirts about it. If you want to buy a t-shirt, by the way, go to teespring.com/John Paul Music UK, and all the links are in every video that I do on YouTube. If you want to buy one of these, I've got it in loads of different colours. There's a blue one over there. And yeah, I've got a hoodie for it as well. pottering, not littering. Haha. Okay, there we go. I've been pottering around and seeing what happens. Apologies, Hannah. There we go. So maybe some tips. Okay, so tips for a newbie. First of all, what I would do is, and it's a little bit daunting, but make sure you download the parameter guide. The quick start guide that they give you with all the little diagrams and stuff of how to start looping and this, that, and the other are great. They're fantastic. But then very quickly you'll find that you'll want to change things and you want to maybe tweak a setting. What I suggest is keep setting number one, memory number one, as the setting that you would just go to just drop down an idea. That's what I do. And then I go from memory number 10 or number 11 and I start fiddling. So I'll pick a memory and start messing it up. Absolutely mess it up. Like get it completely messed up with all the different things you can do with it, because you can always erase it. You can always put it back to beginning. Then if I've got a gig, memory number one, I've actually got memory number one and memory number two in two different ways. So you can do, let me grab it. So you can do basically 2 tracks. So you've got these 2 tracks here, which are literally track number 1 and track number 2. And then I'll put my fingers over there. There we go. Track 1, track 2. And this button here is tracks select. So when you click it, it goes over to track number 1, track number 2. The one thing I would tell you about this is learn the colors. What does I mean by that? Well, there are colours above each button, and there's colours above track 1 and track 2. So learn the colours. So red is record, yellow is overdub, green is play. But if you go onto track 1 and track 2, there's 2 tiny little colours there. Get to learn those, because it's basically white or blue, or I think there's a purple as well, and that tells you what's on that track or what that track is doing. So certainly have a look at that, because that is really important. Certainly if you're in a live environment, you look down, you're like, what's this track? What's this looper doing? Why is it still playing something? It's because it maybe has something on track 2 when you've erased track 1, for example. It's a boss looper. See what I did there? It's a fantastic thing to get into, but because it can do so much, it is quite daunting. So on track number 1, I've got it exactly as it says on the tin here. So play, record, stop, and track select, and then they play together. On my track number 2, my memory number 2, what I've got it set in a completely different way, which is called serial mode, or some people call it single mode. So boss call it single mode. And what that means is that when I play track 1, if I play track 2, track 1 stops. So if you want something like a verse and a chorus, so you can loop a verse and loop a chorus but have the rhythm still playing, you can do that as well. Now, I've done a video on how to do that, which is not my latest video. That's all about a microphone. It's the latest Boss RC500 video, which is all about how to change that over and change what these pedals do. And then you can change that to, say, memory select, or you can change that to rhythm start and stop. The other thing that foxes people with this, which I did mention in the video, is that when you hit stop, it stops the rhythm, and it's set that way by default. Go into rhythm, wherever it is on here, memory, go into memory, scroll across to rhythm, and you can change it so it changes. Instead of pressing stop, it carries on, but then you'll have to bend down and press rhythm tempo on off. Rhythm on off, if you want that to change, or assign yourself a pedal and then you can rhythm on, rhythm off if you want to do that. I could talk about half a year about what this can do. It's really in depth, Hannah. So what I would really suggest is just plug stuff in, get going with it, have a little play, and then just get used to foot pressing like that. Record 2, 3, 4, overdub 2, 3, 4, stop. Just getting into the rhythm of looping. It's hard to begin with, because it's getting that thing. What I normally do first is I don't record straight away like that. I record with the guitar and I go record, click. And I've got a little bit of a rhythm going. Now you have got a rhythm section on here, which is fantastic. You've got 57 different kind of kits. 57 different kind of rhythms, both with an A and B variants. You've got 16 different kits as well. Yeah, you can get into that, and you could be there for a month just playing around with the rhythm section. So I hope that sort of answers your question. It doesn't really, because this thing can do so flipping much. But start playing with track 1, and then just see what you can do with it, and then use a different track 57, track 11, whatever you want to do, and start messing it up. Start going into every single one. I actually personally think the parameter guide is the way to go. Download the parameter guide. So go to Boss's website, go to support, and then go and grab the parameter guide, or have a look at my Boss overview video, and the parameter guide is in the comment section. I think someone asked for it, so I've put it on there. Or did I put it in the link? I can't remember. But yeah, it's definitely there. Have a look at the parameter guide. It basically is in a lot more detail, but if you go through it section by section, it explains what each button does and what each button press does, and you go, aha, that's what that means. So I hope that helps. Let's have a look. Thank you. I hope I'll be better at leaving the typing. No, it's fine. It's no problem at all. I'm now going to be littering like all weekend. No, joking. That sounds really weird. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to drink. Adrian. Okay, so any good portable power options for gear that you use and like a power pack big enough to offer power for several pieces. Right, now I've been down this road with the RC300, the big RC300, and I went, right, I want to go busking with it. Excuse me. I want to go busking with it. I want to start busking with the RC500, RC300, sorry. And I'm going to get these have all got batteries in, but the other that hasn't. So I started looking into milliampere hours and that kind of stuff, really. And I ended up with basically like you see loop artists with like a car battery, because my busking amp is not the Cube one. It's the Roland one, so it's actually a keyboard amp, but it's the KC110, but that is battery powered. So yeah, so I was kind of like, well, what do I do? And I started going down it. Yeah, I ended up with a car battery and an inverter, and I was like, what am I doing here? I'm carrying this stuff around, and I was just like, yeah, I can do all the loops and stuff. It's like, and the people walking past, they don't care. I'll let you know this now, they don't care. Like, if you're playing at like a buskers competition kind of thing, go for it. Bring that kind of equipment. If not, go and pick up an RC500. I'm not sponsored by Boss at all. That's mine. I bought that with my own money, and a lot of the stuff I review, I buy with my own money. I buy with the money that I make from YouTube, and from buymeacoffee.com, to get stuff so you guys can see it. So I was very lucky enough basically to be sponsored by DistroKid, and they've helped me with that. So yeah, I went and got that because I wanted to make sure A, it's mine, and B, I don't have to be swayed to say one way or another what I like, what I think about it. It has its problems in the sense that it's too complex, and I think that's why Hannah's a bit dubious about it. It's like a bit, I need tips. Yeah, it's a little bit much to be your first looper, but at the same time, you won't have what I would have when I had the RC20 and then the 20XL and then the 30, where I was like, I've hit a shelf, I've hit like a ceiling, I can't go any further with this thing. I think the RC500 will just keep going and going and going because it's got so much going for it. It's got so much flexibility. Portable power options, what I would suggest is get something that's already got portable power inside. If you want ease of use, do that. So my busking amp is a keyboard amp. It's the Roland KC110. That is portable power. And then, yeah, the TC Helicon is not battery powered at all. But it says quite clearly it's 400 milliamps, so you can actually go and get like in fact, I think I've still got it. Yes, I have an Anker power bank, and then with the right connector, plug it in, one of those little connectors. Now, I would normally in the UK be pointing people at Maplins to go and get one of those little adapters. Maplins have now gone. I'm sure it would be going into somewhere like Amazon or something like that and trying to find the right adapter. Now, having said all of that, and I'm glad Adrian's just commented about this, we're going to talk about software loopers. So yes, yeah, this is why I like Quantaloop and an iRig Blueboard. All I need is a small power bank for the iPad and I'm all set. Thank you for the info. No problem at all. So, software loopers. These are all hardware loopers. We've been talking about them for a little while now. Let's go into software. So software loopers, they are looper apps, or you've got looper pieces of software like Ableton. I think that's the best one for both Mac and PC from if you want to bring a laptop with you. I don't have a laptop. I've got an iMac and that's it. And I've got an iPad. And then I've also got an iPhone. Yes, I'm Apple. That's just the way it is. But there are some fantastic apps which are on the iOS platform, which will give you exactly what you need. And then all you will need to get your stuff up and running is a small adapter, which is I've got over here. Where is it? Hang on. Hopefully you can hear me. This is the one thing you need. Basically, it's not focusing. So let me just go back over to here. This is the one thing you need. This is the one thing which, if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, which is Lightning, this is Lightning at this end, the same connection you'd have on your iPhone, plugging into USB 3. And this gives you a USB connection. And that is a plug for plugging in power. That's really important. Now, you can get the USB 2 one, which is just USB on the end. That's it. Don't buy that one. Buy this one. This is the USB 3 one. I think Apple have stopped the USB 2 one now anyway, but get the USB 3 one. The reason is because you can power, and then when you plug in power, you can do two amazing things. One, you can plug in an audio interface into here, and it will power the audio interface. So this is the genuine Apple connection kit. Don't get knockoff ones. You can buy ones that have got genuine parts in, and if they are associated with Apple, things like Anker, things like Belkin, they are big companies who have to pay Apple to get the little chip in there to make sure it's certified. So they're okay. Don't get the £5 off Amazon ones because they don't work, or they don't transmit the actual data at the speed they said they would. This is USB 3. And my Focusrite 2i2 is USB 3. I have a Alesis IO hub, which is a tiny little 2-in, 2-out connector, which is an audio interface. That's USB as well, and it all plugs into here. So I can plug my microphone and my guitar in. It goes into the device, which is either an iPhone or an iPad, and then you can get basically 2 out, which goes out to your PA, and that's it. So I've done as I said before, I've done a gig with Loopy HD, where it was just the vocal, and I actually had a guitar there as well, but I just used the vocal and did a lot of a cappella songs, and then that was it. And then I just had a little adapter that the phone put on the mic stand. I just literally went on the mic stand. There was an IK multimedia little phone holder, and then I gaffer taped the Alesis IO hub onto it. And then so I could just go slunk, and then there you go, it's all on, and you go plug, put the phone on, done. Make sure you are on, my number one piece of advice is make sure you are on airplane mode when you're performing with an iOS device. Unless you need the Bluetooth, and that's fine, because you need things like if you've got an iRig Blueboard, you can still put yourself on airplane mode, but then turn on the Bluetooth. The reason is twofold. One is the obvious one. If you get a phone call halfway through your gig, which has happened to me, that's really funny, and you get the audience to laugh, or if it's a bit of a serious gig, you don't want that to happen. The other reason as well is you don't want this noise. And that is data coming from the signal from your SIM card. So you don't want that. Now, the best way of doing that is either use an iPad, which is just a Wi-Fi only one, or if you are using a smaller device like an iPhone, maybe use an iPod Touch. Have a look at the iPod Touch. It's a fantastic piece of kit to use as a software looper. So things like Quantaloop. Yes, my hair is locked down here, by the way. Things like Quantaloop, things like L7 Looper. I've got loads of different loopers on the iPad, and I've got loads of different loopers on the phone because they're universal. They just work. They're really good. And it's one of these things where then you can start getting into putting effects on, and some of them have got effects with them. So the L7 Looper, for example, it's got its own effects. You can do all kinds with them. So they're really, really good in that respect, and they're really small. Also, it's your daily. So if you're using your phone, you've got your phone on you. It's not like you're carrying extra equipment in that sense. You're not carrying a looper. The phone is your looper. Or if you're carrying like an iPad, what I would suggest, certainly for Adrian, if you're thinking of like a small power bank, yeah, look at like an Anchor or a Rav power bank. I have the Anchor one. It's an old one now. I think it's just sitting there. And I've got now a Rav Power. I think it's like a 28,000 milliamp thing, which is just ridiculous. But it does loads. And then you've got USB-C and USB. Great, and then it'll charge both and actually charge loads of different things. So certainly with Apple going the USB-C route, with their cabling, it's best to get in on the USB-C front now, because things are going to change. I think it's going to stay with the USB-C going forward. So if you've got like an old iPhone 6 or 6S and you're using that for gigging, great, use that. If you've upgraded your phone and your old phone's sitting in the drawer, get it out, reset it to factory settings. As long as you can take the latest version of the software, then you can download these apps and have it as a dedicated looper. Turn off the aerial, and then it's basically an iPod Touch, but it's just a dedicated looper. I know someone who's got one in their pedal board, so it's just literally in the pedal board, and he doesn't really use it like that because he's got a MIDI board connected, so just that way he's got it plugged in, so it is the brain for his pedal board. It's a fantastic option, but these are computers at the end of the day. The phones are computers, the iPads are computers, and the Mac. So yeah, so software looping is such a wide open space that you can do lots of different things with. Ableton is a really great one. Ableton give you a free trial. Really great for getting into if you want to get into looping. I think a lot more people who do stuff like studio-based looping, I'd probably say, as opposed to live looping, because a lot of people don't want to take a Mac on board with them, or they want to take a Mac, so like an open gig night. So it depends on what you need, but I know that's a really ambiguous saying. It depends on what you need, but if you dedicate yourself to a looper, that's great, and do it. What I would suggest, and this is another tip for Hannah if she's still online, give us a thumbs up if you are, then what I would suggest is know everything about your looper. The reason I got so into looping is because I was able to take the time with the RC50. So the RC50 was a three-track looper, which is made by Boss, and it was basically the one before the RC300, and I locked myself away and learned everything about it. So then when I came to the RC300, which of course wasn't out at that time, but when I did come to it, it wasn't that much of an uphill struggle. It was just like, that does that. Still listening and learning. Oh, okay, thank you. Adrian, I'll come to your comment in a second. It was basically learn everything about this looper, because that's the central hub. If that fails, or if that does something wrong, your gig's over. I've done everything from press the wrong button to delete a loop, right through to record while someone was shouting in the background and it went into the loop. I've done it all. I've done it where I've recorded when I've tripped over a microphone. I go like that, and that was in the loop. You with looping, you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt, certainly. So yeah, it just depends on what you're going to do. Right, let's have a look at this. So Adrian, my audio interface, I'm sure that's Behringer. 404 needs power. Use a big heavy power bank to record live looping videos out in nature. Oh, cool. Loved it. Only found it challenging with 3 kids and 2 dogs outside. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So what I would suggest, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Use them. Use the dog. Ruff. Get the barks in there. Get all that kind of stuff in there. Definitely use the kids. Get the kids to say stuff. And just say like your name or something like that at the right time, and just hit the looper and just see what you can come up with. See what you can do with it. I've done stuff where I recorded a sound of this guy basically taking a really big metal sheet off a van, and he took one off, and I went, "That's cool." And I just used my phone and said, I know it sounds mad, but can I record you taking that sheet off, it's got like a rhythmic tune to it. And it's like, I said, I'm a musician. He kind of like rolled his eyes and went, yeah, whatever, mate. So I did, I recorded it. And I actually used it in a loop like a couple of years later. So I saved that as a sample, basically. But then used it as a loop, and I actually played it live. So there's loads you can do. So yeah, I totally get it with the needing the power for the audio interface. So this little bad boy is your answer, in the sense of making sure you plug your power into here, your power bank into this, and it'll actually keep your phone charged or your iPad charged and your audio interface on as well. So my recommendation I've been using is Rav Power. Not sponsored by them, it's just what I use. The Rav Power hasn't let me down yet, and it's done pretty well. The other one would be the obvious one, which is Anchor. Now, the other thing that's come onto the market recently, and this is a step away from looping just for a second, is the GAN plugs, which are these plugs that basically can hold like 100 watts of power and things like that. This is really interesting for people who do live looping with like an iPhone or an iPad with a load of equipment, because there's one, I think, made by Anchor, which is a plug, which is a GAN plug, but also at the same time, it's a power bank as well. So you can actually use it as a power bank, and it's got like 3 ins. So you can plug a couple of things in, but also at the same time, you plug it in to charge your phone. So these things, this technology is all emerging, which is just fantastic. And it's a great, great time. Let's say I want to take this out live. This is the Arturia Keylab 49. Let me just do that. There we go. So this is the Arturia Keylab 49. It's weighty. It's a MIDI keyboard at the end of the day, and there's a little white cable that goes into the Mac. That is it. But basically, to power it doesn't actually take that much power. I think it's either 5 or 7 watts, and that's it. No more than charging your phone. So I could take that on stage with me if I've got a power bank, and then plug that in by power. But then I'd need a way to get the MIDI across, and this is all where it gets a little bit complicated. So my advice for anyone who's doing anything software looping, these things are great, because it's built like a tank. Everything you need is in there. Plug in your musical equipment, turn it on, and get going. Sorry, I thought I was on that camera. I'm on that one. Plug everything in and get going. That's it. If you're using something like an iPhone, it's like building your own PC, because you need the bits to go with it to make up the equivalent of what you've got there, but more functionality. So with that now having MIDI, what I would really recommend is, if you want something really dedicated, something like that, and then a big MIDI keyboard like an FCB 1010, like the Behringer one, or the Boss's own one. And there's loads of other ones. There's loads of other advanced MIDI ones you can get as well. So you can really expand the functionality of that now, because it's got MIDI built in. A lot of the loopers didn't have MIDI, or don't have MIDI. They focus on it. Electronic harmonica. I've just launched 2 or 3 new loopers, I think, and I saw the ad for it on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. Okay, where's the XLR? Where's the MIDI? Where's this? Where's the USB connectivity? And we're starting to have like a higher bar to set now. First of all, when we brought Looper out, I was like, it loops. Oh, it's got an undo. Amazing. That was like fundamentally amazing. Utilizing an undo and a redo to go, oh, that could be add the harmonies and take it away again. So things like that are just fundamentally like amazing. So when you bring out a looper that's pretty basic, it's like, I'm not a great fan of that. I'm a great fan of like pushing the boundary of what it can be done. So yeah. So if you are just joining us, good evening. Thank you very much for taking the time to obviously come in on a Saturday evening. My name is John Paul. I run a YouTube channel called John Paul Music UK, and you can you've either found me on the YouTube channel or on my Facebook page, or even on Periscope. And we're talking about live looping, whether you do it basically with a hardware looper like one of these bad boys, or if you're using software where you're using like an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac to do a little bit of live looping. So if you have got like some quality out of this live stream, then please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then also please give it a thumbs up, because if you give it a thumbs up, it basically tells YouTube and Facebook, the algorithm, to send it out to more people so then they can go and watch it. Also at the bottom here, you'll notice there is a Go Support Me, which I'm going to put my finger on the table here. There. This is buymeacoffee.com, and you can basically keep this channel going by buying me a coffee. This live stream is sponsored, and it's sponsored by the company called DistroKid. They are a distribution company where you can actually give your music to them, and they basically send it out to everyone. They send it out to Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, loads of different places. And we have got a little thing at the bottom here. Again, I'm going to point the table around here, which is distrokid.com/VIP/John Paul Music UK, which will give you 7% off your first annual membership with DistroKid. DistroKid is an annual membership, but it's $19.99 to release as much of your music as you want to, and you keep all the royalties. It's phenomenal. It's a fantastic thing, and they've got some really, really great things as well. So I've done a couple of things for them in the past, and we've been doing it for 2021. We're going to be doing a couple of sponsored live streams from DistroKid. So first of all, thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring this live stream. But also, if you haven't, check that link out, because this is the way I'm going to be releasing my music for this year. We're in lockdown in the UK, so this is the way to get your music out to all the different streaming sites. And if a new one pops up, then you can get it added onto there as well. Here's a really great one with DistroKid, which I didn't anticipate, which is my music is now available on Instagrams and Facebook stories. Now, you need to have more than the basic version of DistroKid to do this. I think the middle tier, which is about $40. It's nothing. And then once your music is out there, if you're going to do Instagram stories, what you can then do is go on into Instagram stories, and then you can tag your own music in the story and go, this is out now, and then you can hear the music in the story. How cool is that? This is all part of their service. There's loads of other things called slaps.com. It's like SoundCloud, but basically DistroKid's version. They do things where you can get little videos. You can get a video of the child from Mandalorian to basically like rock to your music. There's loads of little things you can do for promotional stuff, which is really, really cool. So have a look at distrokid.com/VIP/John Paul Music UK, and you can have a look and get 7% of your first annual membership. Right then, guys. So, taking notes. Wow, Adrian's taking notes. Are we doing that on the iPad? I hope so. With the pencil. You go like this. Are we doing good old pen and paper? Let me know in the comment section, Adrian, what you're doing. Hannah, I hope, obviously, we've given you a little bit of help with your first. Is it your very first looper? Is it? Let me just go back through the comments. Where are you? Okay, you bought an RC500 and you're new to this. That's what you said. So, okay, cool. Iris is in the house. How you doing? Happy New Year to you. I hope you are very, very well. Hello from Stockholm. Hello, Stockholm. Nil point. Hope you're okay. It's really, really great to hear from you. I hope you're all right. So, pen and paper, paper and pencil in my hand, dandy notebook. Handy dandy notebook, fantastic. Yeah, ask me questions by all means. I think what we'll do is we'll stay on for a little bit longer. So ask me questions. I can just sit here and go until someone asks a question. Yes, very first one, hopefully a purchase for life. I kind of lockdown project. You are all very well. Good, so are we. I really hope you are well, Iris. Fantastic to hear from you. I will let my wife know that you said hello. Kind of a lockdown project. Great. So for those who, I'm going to be doing more live looping Q&As, and I'm also going to be doing a couple more talks on live streaming, as well as hardware stuff. And then we're just going to do a Ask Me Anything thing, because this has all been run through iPhones, by the way. That is an iPhone 10. Hang on. That is my new iPhone, which is actually an iPhone 12 mini. That's all I could afford. But there was basically the new one that gave me a good deal on it. So these are all iPhones, and it's all run through a system which is called OBS, which is basically, if I put the pointer here, this is all OBS, and it's run through my microphone and everything else. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I've done a video about that, and then I think we are going to have a look at talking about different ways you can live stream. So This is going out to both YouTube and Facebook and Periscope all at the same time. And this is using a system called Restream.io. Restream.io is a system that I use, and I've got a video about how to use it. And what you do is basically use OBS, send that to Restream, push it out to everyone else. So there's lots of different companies doing lots of different things for us and helping us. So if you're doing a performance, that's the other thing we're going to talk about as well. And we're going to talk about how to perform on live stream during lockdown. So Hannah, stay tuned to this channel. Obviously not tonight, but on another night. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look, and I'll start scheduling them in so you know what's coming. But we're going to start talking about how to live stream, and I'm going to plug all this stuff in, and I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to do a couple of songs, and then we're actually going to show you the cabling and show you how it's plugged in and show you what the patches are doing. So that, I think, is really, really important, certainly if you're live streaming. And then how on earth do you get it all live streaming? How do you get all this working? You don't need a big computer to do it. I did a year of live streaming on Facebook just with my phone. No plug-in. I literally acoustic guitar, pointing at the phone and going hello, and then that's it. This is all fab and dabby dozy and all this equipment and stuff. If this all went tomorrow and I still had my phone, I could still live stream. I could still do it all. So there's loads you can do with it. So I want to basically show you obviously how we can do live streaming. The other thing I want to do as well is a series, and a series is basically going to be called How Do You Loop? And I'm going to be talking to a couple of my friends, some local, some international, about how they use their loopers, and we're going to be doing some interviews with them. So stay tuned for that as well, and we're going to have a look at that. So cool. It's all very exciting, says Hannah. It certainly is. Hannah, I want, where are we? 9th of January. How many songs have you got in your repertoire? Or ignore looping for a second. Just think about the song. In fact, everyone do this. Think about the songs in your repertoire. How many songs have you got in your repertoire that are not out there in the world, that are not quite finished, or they're not quite released yet? So have a look at DistroKid, and you can release as many songs as you want. Do you see what I did there? And then you can go onto distrokid.com. The great thing as well is that if you then, I've created songs that began with a loop. I was just twiddling around, and my first, well, not first, but one of my songs that did quite well, which is basically started off with that's the loop. That's it. That's the whole thing, and it just keeps going round and round. And it's a song called Boscastle. It's about the place called Boscastle. So if you're not familiar with that, that's a place in the UK which unfortunately had a very, very difficult flood. But the amazing thing is everyone survived. So when I went down there, it was really inspiring, and I just came up with the idea on my phone. So I started looping it on my phone, but then I went over to the hardware looper and finished it off there, and then we started recording it. So a looper is a fantastic tool for an idea. You can just get something down really quickly, maybe on your phone or on an iPad, or you've just got it in your head. If you've got it in your head, my number one key is get it out your head, because it will go. The idea will go once you've had a conversation about noodles and what the cat did yesterday and everything else. You'll be like, what was that tune? Yeah, it's gone. So definitely get stuff down. And the great thing is, certainly if you've picked up the Boss RC500, Hannah, you can save up to 99 different memories. So you could have that as an ideas patch. You could have maybe 30 patches just for ideas, and you can go idea number 1, idea number 2, idea when we were in lockdown. There we go. Why not? Cool. Oh, L7. You got Audio Kit L7. So the great thing about L7, so let's get into this. This is a app which is basically made by the guys over at Audio Kit. Matt there, fantastic guy, and shout out to them, and shout out to Henny as well for one of the other apps. But L7, the L7 Looper, I got the email about it on my birthday in 2019. I was really happy with that. A looper on my birthday. Woohoo! So L7 Looper is fantastic, and it's one of these things where instead of having like circles or anything else, it's lines going across, but it's a blank palette. It's completely blank, and you dictate how that goes. It's a little bit like having a blank piece of paper. So again, L7, great tool for ideas, but you can embellish that into a full-blown song. So yeah, brilliant. Have a look at my tutorial about that. I did a tutorial all about L7, and AudioKit were so impressed with it. It's now on their L7 webpage, so you might see this face. So have a look through my videos on YouTube, and you'll find the L7 tutorial as well. We're going to take a swig. How is lockdown for everyone? We are full on lockdown here in the UK. I know in different places in the world it's very different. We're not going to talk too much about the lockdown itself. But it's one of those things where the great thing about a lockdown is it can then inspire people to go, right, I've got a project. So Hannah has actually dived in here fully into the deep end and gone, right, RC500, lockdown project, let's go. Love that idea. It's fantastic. It's only about £3. It's on offer now. Cool. Another toy to play with. Definitely check out the other videos. Thank you very much. Cool. Fantastic. My videos are there as educational tools predominantly, just to help you guys out. So if I can teach someone to basically do something with it, fantastic. That's what it's there for. That's the whole point of my YouTube channel. If you haven't, guys, and you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already or my Facebook page, then please do so. Predominantly, I am on YouTube. If you've got questions, then put them in the comments, whether you're watching this on the replay or if you put any of the videos that you're interested in. Please put them in the comment section below, and I try and answer them as quickly as humanly possible. So guys, thank you very much for joining me this evening. We're going to wrap this up and basically go from live looping, and then we're going to go over to a couple of different things throughout the month of January. I'd just like to thank DistroKid for sponsoring the video and the live stream. So again, if you haven't already, give that link a click and have a look at some of the perks you get. I'm on the highest one, which is the label one. I think it's worth it because there's lots of different things you can get. It's like $79.99 a year. It's nothing when you think about what you can reap the benefits of. You could put out an album a day if you wanted to, unlimited. You could, if you had that amount of music, you could do that. But thank you very much to DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream. As I say, you can get 7% off your first annual membership by going to that link. And if you want to support me directly, you can do. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/John Paul Music UK. That is what keeps this channel alive. And I want to thank all the people who have sponsored me already. There's also an annual membership where if you go onto there's a monthly membership, but there's also an annual one as well. So if you go into the annual membership, you get one of these for free. And I will send it out to you. You can pick the color and everything. There's also some perks where you get all my music. You get all my music. That's it. If you go annual, you get all my music. If you want to be named on the YouTube videos as well, you can do that as well. So there's some nice perks there. Go and have a look at buymeacoffee.com/John Paul Music UK. So guys, thank you very much for joining me. Have a fantastic evening, and we will see you next time. Bye.